Alright, so this is, I guess I'll go by One-Legged Pirate from Handy Capable Gaming. And the point of this video, I apologize, my first ever video, and probably going to be kind of rough, but whatever, time sensitive and shit. But trying to collect and gather information in regards to actual theories regarding the Fortnite storyline, and not just your standard, clickbait, oh, the world's ending, blah, 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 junk like that. Mainly because after finding out some of the new chase, which is part of the overtime challenges launched today, or the out of time overtime challenges, whatever. They brought some very interesting information forward regarding the storyline for not just this, but potentially for Save the World and how they might interact and coexist. The only way to properly explain this, though, is also to spoil some of Save the World, so if that's not something you want, I don't honestly recommend watching this, but without that information, this theory or any of the things I'm really talking about don't make that much sense. So with that out of the way, we'll get started with a little bit of Save the World backstory. In the storyline to Save the World, there's a character known as Dr. Vinderman, and he's kind of the catalyst for the main storyline. He's the scientist that was working to save the world. No one believed him about this storm that creates husks. Husks are possibly aliens, for not having information about that story. Might just seem like zombies, but when the storm, I guess, damages people enough, they kind of like spawn out of a living person's body. But yeah, he was trying to save the world. Inevitably, kind of goes down with his ship, it's implied. Didn't run away when he needed to, and eventually died. And that's where you come in. You're kind of taking his place and trying to lead the charge in an effort to save the world. You find out throughout the game, though, that the world's pretty bad, and too many people have died. Too many husks. Can't predict the storm. Can't fight it properly, anyways. And you get introduced to a character named Desiree, who is Dr. Vinderman's assistant. And her idea on how to save the world is that you can't save your world, and that you need to, she basically starts researching the rifts, which if you play Battle Royale, you're probably familiar with them. There's a big one over there at Loot Lake. In the hopes that these rifts will allow them to potentially take all of their survivors to a new universe, and one without the storm. That was one of the first big ones. It was kind of a connection between the two games. Everybody thought that her information or ideas of going towards the rifts were going to be that bridging gap and such, and it never quite panned out. Maybe we'll find out here soon if there is a lot more connectivity between the two. But it's also implied throughout the story that even though Dr. Vinderman would have much rather saved the world that you guys live on, are from, and whatnot, that he wasn't an idiot, and he was actually researching something very similar to her in secret as a backup plan, just in case. Well, then inevitably he dies. Well, maybe he didn't. Maybe he is the visitor, as seen here. Then you cut into Battle Royale. Season 4 happens. Visitor Boy here is in this thing. It falls to Battle Royale Island here, and crash lands, taking out this whole mess of an area, and leaving mainly just this back area here. The first building's mostly gone, the second one's kind of damaged, that one's survived pretty well intact, and is slowly converted into what's called the Dusty Diner, and it was both an area of, supposed to be an actual in-game little diner, but it also had all this memorabilia from, the crater and all the shit that was involved. That started, in all honesty, the main storyline of Battle Royale. Before that, it was just kind of a fun little gimmicky little thing. But the visitor was important, is important. Mainly the reason he could potentially be this visitor, or this season's secret skin, which is kind of a dummy thick version of that visitor, Specifically in regards to these audio logs being live to us today. Um, Without having played Save the World, it would probably be almost unrecognizable, but as Save the World players who also play Battle Royale would understand, this is very obviously Dr. Vinderman's voice coming through the tapes. Hold on, I gotta make sure I'm quoting them properly in regards to what is actually said. So the first one, he speaks of what the seven of us are attempting is very risky. I suspect they are not the only ones watching, but it must be done or we lose the bridge forever. The seven have often been speculated. There were seven thrones in the Ice King's lair back when he had a castle and such. As the first kind of information about a potential seven. Don't know how much that really factors in now, specifically because this visitor and the new one have both been changed recently to read their set of skins and items are a part of the seven set. So don't know how much it entails the Ice King being potentially part of the seven. But we know there's seven of them working together, and they're working together to try and presumably save the island. The second audio log that was available reads, I speculate that no one calculated the formation of the island. The interdimensional matter collisions would resolve rather than push. Now that I witnessed it firsthand, it's obvious that the pinching alone made it inevitable. This factors into the trailer from the start of the season when the 0-point energy thing over there explodes and sends our boy Jonesy through dimensions. He'll float around dealing with some shit. And you see, the space between worlds, for lack of a better term. And to me, that kind of implies that the entirety of Battle Royale Island is exactly that. This isn't a specific world. This is a collection of worlds crashing together. And that the seven themselves are all from different places. I feel this theory has a little bit more credibility, especially with the inclusion of Gotham, and then earlier this season, Pandora, being these worlds crashing together. Before that was, a little bit more tongue-in-cheek references to like time travel and stuff like that. But anyway, the other side of this is like we've got these seven working together. They're worried about maybe not just this world collapsing, because this might not even be a world, but if this is actually Dr. Benjamin, maybe he is also talking about the potential storm from Save the World. Obviously, we have a storm at Battle Royale. It does slowly and surely kill you, and it could be potentially the same storm between the two, just having various different effects in the long run. Now, the other part of this is interesting is I do not know the credibility of these, but the other audio logs, though I don't know which order they're in, specifically because me and a buddy picked up the two starting tapes at different times in different orders, and were given the proper audio recordings in a specific order, the ones that I read them in a moment ago. This transcript that I found online of the potential other ones does not have them in a particular order. I don't know if that entails anything. But the other ones read as followed. Activate the beacon at precisely the moment this timer reaches nothing. The 0 point must be contained once more. If they are correct, it will be the end. Okay, so that's obviously some kind of reference connection to the orb in Loot Lake, which we do know as the 0 point energy. We do not know who they are yet. Another one reads, and apparently it's unintelligible, theorem was as success. us, you arrived outside the loop at the exact moment of the expansion. This effectively paused the singularity, giving us time to create the devices needed to synchronize the junction. That's one of the ideas behind that this visitor and the other visitor we have are all members of the seven, and hypothetically, they're all the same person, just from 7 different dimensions that all wound up here. I partially think that this has to do with the start of the season when it explodes, and that these That's why the island is frozen. That's why there's a fucking, you know, meteor floating up here in the sky, and all the other stuff that we have is we're frozen in time. Um, let's see here. Another one reads, "Why I didn't factor what I didn't factor was that the only way to trigger the device was from within the time loop itself. Thus, this hasty and primitive recording, and why now you dot 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 I find myself looped." So they're almost like maybe it's not even 7 different dimensions as much as maybe 7 different times that these people are here, and that the triggering of the device would actually would cause that 0 point energy to explode. I don't know if the 0 point energy has any kind of catalytic information or relevancy to this, but I guess we'll find out soon. And then the last audio log is, "When I hear this again, will it help me remember? Or once looped, will I be just as muted as the others? No matter, it seems the lengthy precautions worked." I guess that honestly factors in a little bit more into the potential that they are 7 different time-displaced beings compared to 7 different universes. I apologize. Don't have a script for this. Just kind of winging it. Another thing I want to factor in real quick in terms of the different time theories is if the 2 visitors are the same being, one of them created the mechs, presumably to try and save the world. Another one implanted a virus into them that destroyed him. That's why we got all the parts. So we've got these little terminal things, you know, showing the corruption to them. Can't honestly remember if this was active at the time or not, but if it has been, or if it has been active, it certainly seems even more active than before. But another really interesting part is obviously someone's been here working, presumably the visitor in question. But about, I don't know, probably at the start of the season, everyone thought that a crossover between Save the World and Battle Royale was going to commence, specifically because you can search any item like this or that in Save the World and possibly get some loot or some bullets or some crafting materials, that kind of stuff. Thought it was maybe just a palette swapped glitch because the game's run off the same engine, same physics, this, that, the other thing. But if you come up to this desk in particular, and okay, so a couple of them sounded kind of different. It's really hard to tell with the messed up jargon of things, but who knows. I'm also going to possibly upload another video after this one, because this, I'm about done rambling. One more thing I wanted to check out real quick if I can get there, but I was going to check and see if, maybe that interaction only works if you're wearing this skin. I don't know. Maybe I can get a different sound or different log if I'm wearing the other visitor skin. If there is anything actual relevant to that, then I will upload another video, and if there's not one, then it really didn't matter. The other thing I want to check real quick is the other major connection between the two games that seems to be coming to a head involves what is lovingly referred to as Kevin the Cube. And in Save the World, you come across a being that is known as the Storm King. And the name kind of gives away most of what you would need to know about him. He's one of the first, I guess, get away from this cube or meteor so you can hear me a bit better. He's kind of the first boss of the game that not really a lot of bosses. More importantly, when you kill him dead, below where he was floating is a little itty bitty corner of that there cube, presumably implying that that is where he came from. It's obviously got some kind of connection to it. You also discover a little bit later on that the cube in Save the World is sentient. though you can't really understand anything it's saying, it does display some form of even rudimentary sentience to it. And I think that the cube coming back in Battle Royale isn't just a homage to previous seasons, like a lot of the other stuff around the map currently is, but that could be part of this connection between the two, or the theorem that he's talking about. Any number of little things. Um, Mainly because it's speculated that the first time the visitor showed up back in season 4 and he took off, that he wasn't trying to go home, that he was trying to create these rifts as a bridge between dimensions, between worlds, things like that. It obviously worked in some aspects because season 5 was all about the rifts. We got drift from the real world, we got the Viking, we got this, that, the other thing, and presumably most of the seasons after that can be directly tracked to that. These drastic changes, um, characters from seemingly different times or worlds all colliding together, like mentioned in the starting audio logs. And this cube and what it's doing in conjunction with the rifts that are both referenced in Save the World and Battle Royale could have a lot more ramifications than we realize. Um, though until we honestly figure out what's going on with the countdown timer on the rockets and the TVs for this particular thing, we don't know for sure. But if I missed anything that you watching are aware of that I'm not, feel free to comment down below. I'd be happy to talk, and I love these series. I love the game, both Battle Royale and Save the World. I'm fascinated by it. Um, really interested to see where they're going to take it. And like I said, if I missed anything, or if you have your own ideas on anything I talked about, or the series overall, feel free to let me know down below and such. So hopefully this wasn't too terrible, and hopefully if you were digging for any of the same information that I was, this is relevant and helpful for you.